everyone, I'm Jen and you're watching CryptoVantage. I'm joined by King Bless. He is one half of the Gentlemen of Crypto podcast. King, it's so wonderful to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries. So you're one half of the Gentlemen of Crypto podcast and you're focused on bringing crypto to the community, crypto and culture. That is something I am so passionate about. I want you to take me back to the beginning, though. Talk to me about how you fell into the crypto space.
Yeah, well, I've always been involved in technology. I got my first computer in '97, so I was a part of the whole Napster, LimeWire phase, and early internet and all that type of stuff. So I've always had a computer and played around with it. But once Bitcoin came out, I first heard about it in 2014. I used to be in the military. Every time you deploy, you kind of have this hit list of things you want to learn. So I had like on my first deployment in 2014, learned about deep web, dark web, and Bitcoin. Long story short, they made it out to be like it was only for criminals. So I was scared to look up these things on my government computer. So it wasn't until 2016 on my second deployment, my other half, Bitcoin Zay, jumping into crypto. He put up a post on Facebook. It was like, hey, this is the last time I'm talking about Bitcoin. This is early in 2016. I know him from college, so I immediately text him and call him up, make sure he has the same number. I'm just like, hey, are you still the same guy from college? He's like, yeah, are you? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. You know about this Bitcoin stuff? Yeah. So he gives me the whole rundown. And I already had like business ideas I wanted to do in the traditional sector. He had business ideas he wanted to do in the crypto sector. So we just tried to merge those ideas together. Before in 2016, we were consulting full time. In 2017, it was getting to the point that we just needed to have a daily live stream to talk to a lot of people we were consulting with. Thus, the Gentlemen of Crypto came up to try to tackle some of those headlines and wild price swings that kind of scare people off away from cryptocurrency.
You talk about that narrative around Bitcoin, that it's only used for criminal activity. And I mean, you spoke about it, that narrative coming to light years ago, but it's still a narrative that's very prevalent today, especially when we hear governments speaking about Bitcoin. Tell me about what you take away from governments still spewing the narrative that Bitcoin is only for criminals and criminal activity, and we really need to get it under control.
Well, I'm not mad at it because at the end of the day, some of my background, so I was a public affairs officer in the Navy. So that's basically like doing PR for the military. I work, my bosses were in the Pentagon. I've been to the Pentagon, trained there and all that good stuff. Something goes down, like literally you would get a phone call from Pentagon 90. I'm like, what's going on type of deal. So I've dealt with BBC, CNN, all this stuff. And I say all this because I have this military training in PR. I fully understand the scope of things, the narrative of things, and how things are shaped and formed, and for a reason. So when you talk about Bitcoin, on the surface, it does look like it will compete with the US dollar, and it is a national security concern. So if you're in any position of power as far as government regulation, you could and you can't go wrong with taking that stance. So that's the initial stance everybody took. It's like it's going to be competing with the dollar. National security is going to be issued. Everyone stops using the dollar and starts using Bitcoin, which is somewhat true. But also, as we learn more about it, Bitcoin doesn't really compete with the dollar. It actually enables it. It enables a lot of processes and transactions. So the narrative I kind of saw going early on, especially once the price was taken off, once they started saying, oh, now we want to tax it. And now this X, Y, and Z is like, there was no government help in 2016. I'm sure before, but Wild West in 2016, still, hacks left and right. We've been hacked. It's like, it's no one that can help you. But now years later, they're like, well, we want to tax you. So we want to tax you on your wins, but you make away with the losses. So it's just kind of one of those things where we saw the narrative starting to shape and form. Again, I'm not mad at it, but that is kind of the initial narrative. And this is kind of like, you got to destroy Bitcoin any means necessary. So that means calling it the bad guy, the criminal, the sex trafficking, the Ponzi schemes, or the pedophile, all the stuff they attach to it. That's part of the strategy when you're winning a war. So they're going to look at it as a thing of national security. They're fighting a war.
When you say Bitcoin enables the US dollar, what do you mean by that?
It does enable the US dollar because you can have Bitcoin as the reserve currency. It can be backed by everything like gold was supposed to be doing for the dollar. And we still actually use the dollar. And that way things are transparent still. We do have that level of transparency. If you were to do something as simple as like put your dollars on the blockchain, which is essentially what they're trying to do with the Fed coin and all of that stuff. So, but I say stuff like that also to kind of, soothe it over as a little base hit to say, we'll work together. We'll do this. We'll figure out the best way for it. But those in the space who read the white paper, they kind of already see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the Fed coin. What are your thoughts on CBDCs?
Yeah. Again, base hit. I call these things a base hit. It's the stuff that doesn't make sense. We don't need it. If you were just going to ask me and my group of friends in the crypto space and Bitcoin space, it'd be like, yeah, whatever. Like, we're just going to use Bitcoin. But now that I've seen how the space has matured and what mass adoption actually looks like, mass adoption is meme coins, mass adoption is NFTs, it's DeFi. So with all that being said, there is a place for CBDCs, and until we actually get the majority of the population on ramp into crypto, CBDCs will probably be the best way to do that. So again, even if people are forced to use their country CBDC, whatever, it won't be an end of the world because now they have to learn about CBDCs and they have to learn about crypto. Although I do think a lot of these processes and systems will be on the back end where a lot of people won't even see it or feel the difference when it comes to purchasing and spending.
Don't you think, though, that CBDCs is kind of like the antithesis of Bitcoin when it comes to governments being able to track what you spend? And even in some cases, they're talking about CBDCs being used as programmable money. So, what I mean when I say programmable money for the audience who's listening is money that has a set way you can spend it. So, whoever's issuing that digital dollar, let's say, can say where this digital dollar can be spent. Doesn't that feel like the antithesis of crypto?
No, it definitely is for sure. And that's why I said, like, between me and my friends, we wouldn't use it. It wouldn't even be a conversation. It's like, it's terrible. I remember when I first heard about CBDCs, I called out when I first saw it in an article. We were reading an article. We saw central bank digital currency about 8 times in the article. And I said, listen, the military, whenever we're putting that many buzzwords of the same word and the same thing, is like, it's for a reason. We want you to keep getting that information kind of subconsciously downloaded. So we saw it 8 times in the article. I'm like, this is going to be the new wave. It was like in early 2018. And it turned out to be the new wave, STOs, CBDCs, whoever. So I am totally against them as far as needing them for the market. We don't need them. But for mass adoption, that's what it's going to take. Because we're seeing already, Bitcoin works. It's been working. The white paper's still there. There are still people who enter Bitcoin and cryptocurrency every day and don't even read the white paper. So it's just like, it's not going to happen. And again, there are even people now who still say the dollar is better than Bitcoin. They don't believe in Bitcoin. It's like we're talking about printing $3.5 trillion out. So for those listening, all a CBDC is essentially governments and companies trying to create an intranet, whereas Bitcoin is the internet of money. They're trying to create their personal intranet. So like, hey, come play in our backyard. Again, I'm against this as far as long term, but as far as a base hit to mass adoption, whatever. CBDCs, we're not going to be able to fight it. Like, we're not going to be able to fight it. We weren't even able to fight ICOs. And technically, there's no way to stop an ICO except for people to stop doing it. And essentially, we were scared out of ICO. So if we were scared out of a market that has no barrier to entry, then when you're talking about a market that is intentionally being controlled and will have barriers to entry, like, that market is going to move forward. So I'd rather not fight that fight. I think it's a good thing that people onboard their money on with CBDCs because now they're officially in the crypto market. The government's giving them a pass to be in the crypto market. And then again, once they're in a CBDC, they'll learn about other CBDCs. They'll, wait, what's Gemini USD? Oh, wait, what's Gemini? Oh, wow, wait, what's all these coins on Gemini? Wait, so Bitcoin is a real one? Like, they'll start to go down that rabbit hole on their own eventually. So I think it's good for mass adoption.
Okay, so you see CBDCs as almost like an on-ramp into learning about other cryptocurrencies. I want to touch on, you brought this up a little bit in your last answer, and I think you have a really interesting perspective working in PR for a government agency. When you look at the narrative around cryptocurrencies that is happening right now, especially in the US, I mean, you can touch on other countries if you like, but let's focus on the US to start. What do you take away from that from a PR perspective?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's kind of the playbook. Like, we're not going to officially announce it, but there's been like a war with Bitcoin, digital. I won't even say that Bitcoin. There's a war with anything else besides the U.S. dollar, and it is what it is. It's one of those things. Again, for the U.S., we'll say it's national security, which technically it is. We'll say, hey, this is what we've been using to get by. This is what it is. So, I think that narrative stems from anything that detracts from the U.S. dollar. Essentially, detracts from the United States government, national security concern. And that's the old way of thinking. Whereas, again, they're not understanding new technology. We can utilize this for our benefit as well. And not only that, like, the world's tired of fighting. Like, people our age aren't really like, hey, we're trying to go to war with your country. Like, that's something that's past generations has kind of been going on. So, again, I think it's just one of those things where it's been the culture of something new. I mean, they fought back against the internet. Like, the government fought back against the internet. I remember Good Morning America back in like 96 or 95 or some 98. They were talking about email addresses. They was like, why would you ever want to at someone? They were
I
laughing at it.
remember
Like,
I
they were like, this
remember
is
that interview.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's just a natural thing. New technology, things you don't understand scares you, especially if it's threatening your way of life. And if your way of life is pretty good already, you don't want that being threatened.
Yeah, we talked about CBDCs as an on-ramp to crypto, and that's kind of like the boring part. I think this year we've seen so many fun on-ramps to crypto. We talked about meme coins a little bit earlier in this interview, but I want to talk about NFTs and gaming and the metaverse. Like this is really just like I honestly I'm actually going to ask you before I give my opinion. In February, if I told you we would be here in October, what would you have said?
NFTs. I would say my business partner, co-host, they saw the NFT for sure. Metaverse, I thought we'd be further along. Actually, we're kind of further behind than I thought when it comes to the metaverse. But I do understand it takes a lot of development for it. But I mean, exciting times. DeFi, I was kind of banking on DeFi, so that's still blossoming as well. I'm definitely interested in that. But yeah, the NFT thing when it comes to collectibles, people are saying that they're using it as a store of value now. There's new projects coming up every day. There's celebrity endorsements. I mean, who would have thought this would have been the new ICO market? I didn't catch it I didn't think the wave would be as high as it is right now.
Do you own any NFTs?
We created like 3 just to teach people how to do them. Other than that,
Yeah.
I don't own any NFTs. No, I'm very diversified already when it comes to different projects in the regular crypto space. So I'm an old man now. I'm just messing with Bitcoin and regular stuff. It's crazy.
I mean, didn't we just hear maybe last week or the week before that Snoop Dogg owns 9 CryptoPunks? It's just like a crazy, crazy world to be. You mentioned DeFi, and I know you're very invested in bringing the mainstream audience to crypto. And I think DeFi offers a lot of solutions to people who previously couldn't access financial tools and services. Tell me about your passion for DeFi and how you bring that to the community and educate people to bring them on board.
Yeah, so I love DeFi. For one, I compare the whole like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market very similar to the music industry. When again, LimeWire and Napster, I was alive for that. I remember that like people were downloading these programs or using these programs, and all this crazy stuff is going on. And I say even to this day, of course we want to take care of our artists. I'm glad they're getting percentages of different streaming services, but by and large, you can still download music for free without using any streaming service, without paying. I mean, there are literally YouTube to MP3 downloaders in browser now. It's crazy. So the technology is there. So when it comes to banking, that's what we're looking at now. It's not as simple as just music, wherever. This is something that's serious. Like, how can people get access to funds and credit, if you will, at all times, anytime? And right now, we haven't been able to do that with the traditional sector. And that's my beef, too, with traditional regulators and traditional professionals mitigating over to the sectors. Like, you all had your chance for a very long time to do things the right way, and you chose not to, whether it was incompetence or you actually intended to. Regardless of the reason, you didn't do it. With this sector, especially DeFi, Bitcoin, there's banking 24/7. There's loans 24/7. There's lending 24/7. There's high APYs and savings accounts 24/7 for anyone on the planet. So again, our whole thing is bringing the community to crypto. You're talking about retail investors. I mean, we saw it like clear as blue in 2016 when different people were talking about hedge funds and investment funds. They were like, well, only accredited investors can invest, but not retail investors. It's like, well, what have they done wrong to where they can't invest? But if I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I can invest. So it essentially makes no sense. But DeFi, a lot of interesting things are going on. I already previously mentioned. I mean, there are literally protocols on the internet now. We show this in our masterclass where you don't even need a credit score to get a loan. You just put your existing crypto up on the platform. The platform gives you, say, 80 to 90% of that value of that crypto you staked, and you just get the money back. You get a stable coin back wherever you want. And some platforms actually pay you to take out those loans. So it's getting so crazy in this space. It's like, why would I take out a bank loan if I can just do it with my crypto and keep it staked now? So the world's changing very fast.
There's so much happening in the DeFi space, and you're right. It's changing so fast. There's so many products and services, but there's also so many hacks going on. And we talk about bringing more people over to DeFi. And for me, I feel like there are maybe still some barriers. And one of those barriers is education. How do you see us addressing that as we move forward? What do we need to get people to really migrate from the traditional banking system over to DeFi?
So for sure, it's a twofold thing. Before even education on the DeFi side of the platforms, I mean, they had to tighten up. Whether it's hacks, exit scams, rug pulls, or whatever, it's because we already told people all these DeFi platforms are in beta, which is why also for some of the platforms, many actually, if they're brand new, the newer users get rewarded with these airdrops. The DYDX airdrop the other day, some people were saying they got like $100,000+ in free airdrops or whatever. It was crazy. I think the average user got between like $4,000 to $7,000 on USD. So they're getting rewarded these airdrops, but that's because these platforms are in beta. So on the DeFi side, the platforms, they have to make sure they're, I mean, again, I understand they're trying to stay as decentralized as possible, but still maybe someone needs to create a decentralized auditing firm where we get the best coders and developers out there to audit. I don't know, but something has to be done where these DeFi platforms are going under more security reviews. And then on the education side, again, that's why we have resources like CryptoVantage, where you all have this free resource where people can, log on the internet and literally look up all these different platforms and stuff that's going on. Of course, we have our masterclass where we're trying to teach people how to shortcut it. But in all actuality, no, that's why there are airdrops right now, because in the short term, in the next 2 to 3 years, the people who use these platforms, some will get burned and some will get rewarded. I can say for myself this year, like I've gotten caught up in a couple of rug pulls. Granted, I was being very greedy. 900,000% APY. I mean, listen,
my gosh.
if you're in there for 2 hours, you need to get out. Don't stay in there all night. You get in for 2 or 3 hours, it's 900,000%, and you get out. Okay, I get greedy sometimes, but seriously, but when it's all those type of platforms happening, we do have YouTubers now. We have people on Twitter now. We have platforms like yours, and everyone's trying to educate along the way. So I think as the years go by, that will proliferate as well.
What's the number one question you get asked about crypto? I know that people call into your show. They write you questions. What's the number one question you get asked?
The number one question probably is like, it's actually the simple stuff. What's the where's like the best place to buy Bitcoin, or what's the best wallet to use? It's those type of questions where it's like more security almost, or and then, I hate this word, anonymity. Ooh, I got it on the first try. There it is. But a lot of questions will revolve around anonymity as well. It's like, okay, well, what if I don't want to sign up for everything? But usually it's just wallets and exchanges. I would say that's like the most frequent one for sure.
And when people ask you about exchanges, is there any particular one that you recommend for beginners?
Well, for beginners right now, we're actually just telling people Cash App, because Cash App is making it very simple to buy Bitcoin. One thing a lot of people don't know, and again, it's showing you how fast the space is moving. You don't need to actually be on the exchange to swap into different cryptocurrencies. So again, Bitcoin was made to go peer to peer. It was made so that, hey, I can say, Jen, I got $50. Can I get some Bitcoin? We can do it like that. However, the government is now trying to make it seem like you're a bank if you're doing that. You need a money license to do the money transmitter license to do those type of transactions, when that isn't true. But again, this is one of the things we're kind of falling into when it comes into the regulatory environment. But it was made to be peer to peer. And I remember in 2016, early 2017, you couldn't just swap crypto to crypto. You had to go through an exchange, or you had to go through a certain person or a certain wallet. And then poof, cross atomic swaps came out. All of a sudden you can swap crypto to crypto in wallet. People didn't even know about cross atomic swaps or the name of it. And people aren't even using the technology. They're still staying on exchanges. But that technology was created so that we can just use our wallets now, buy it on something as simple as Cash App, transfer that Bitcoin to a different wallet, and just swap it into the cryptocurrency of your choice in wallet.
King, this has been such a pleasure. I think I could talk to you about cryptocurrency all day, but we got to wrap it up there. Let all the viewers know how they can listen to your podcast, where they can find you if they have more questions.
For sure. You can go ahead and check us out on YouTube at The Gentleman of Crypto, or on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. And also at The Gentleman of Crypto, or the website, thegentlemanofcrypto.com. And from there, go on a journey. Thanks for having me, Jen. I appreciate it.